come here and show Miles to the class.
Hey, buddy, look at the people.
Oh my God.
Look at all the people. Wave. Hi.
Oh, it's just too much. It's too much for me to handle. Hi, everyone. All right. How's it going, everyone? How are you? Good. All right. I'm looking forward to today's class. I think this is going to be, I feel like we're going to be sore depending on how much of the exercises we actually get to do today. So I am going to do like a whole anatomy lecture, and then we'll go into like full-on exercises, which I'm kind of afraid that I'm going to be really sore. All right. Please interrupt me if you have questions, because I can't see the chat box and I can't see your screens because I'm like focusing on the pictures. So just unmute yourself and interrupt me. Okay. Don't be shy about it. I know a lot of us have not had anatomy yet, so I just want to start with the directions of the hip movements in anatomical terms so that we're super clear on what everything is. So in ballet world, we think of développé front as like having good extension, right? That's actually flexion in anatomical terms. So anytime the leg is in front of the body, the hip is in flexion. If the leg goes behind the axial skeleton, then the leg is in extension. Abduction, there's abduction and adduction. I remember it by alphabetizing it. So if I'm AB ducting, then the leg is going away from my body. And if I'm adducting, I'm adding the leg back to my body. External and internal rotation. I know we all know what this is. External rotation is going out into turnout. Internal rotation is what we call turn in. Okay, so what we're talking about today is all the muscles for dance, at least, in a general way that assist with all of these possible hip movements. So starting with the iliopsoas, I know I've talked about this a ton. The iliopsoas is actually comprised of three muscles. So you've got psoas major, psoas minor, which is the little smaller one on the medial side of the muscle, and then the iliacus muscle, which is on that iliac crest of the pelvis there, and then goes down into the front, that anterior hip. Okay, so this muscle complex, and this is generally speaking, because they do have individual things that they do, but generally speaking, for the purpose of this conversation, it's hip flexion, hip abduction, lumbar lateral flexion, which is this, right? And stabilizing the spine. So even just standing, you are using your psoas muscle. So let's just take a second. I want to see where I can see you here. And you can just put your hands, I'm putting my hands like right here, and you can, it's really deep. You kind of have to press, but if you really think about contracting your deep abdominal muscles, it's there. And it's like, it's crazy because it's so deep. I mean, it's actually on the side of that lumbar spine from T12 all the way through L5. T meaning thoracic and L meaning lumbar. So if I'm putting my hands here and I think about contracting, I have all the layers of my abdominal muscles, and then underneath all that, I also have psoas major, psoas minor, and iliacus. And this is a muscle, and I know I've talked about this a lot, but just so everyone gets it, this is a muscle that is generally extremely tight in dancers. So if you have problems with your back going out, so to speak, it's often because this muscle can contract and it won't release. So thinking about, going back to my screen share, if this muscle is contracted, it's actually putting the spine in this way, and also possibly lateral lumbar flexion, right? So you end up being unable to stand. For me, I cannot stand up straight when my psoas gets stuck, so to speak. Massage therapists can release it from the posterior side, and they can also release it from the anterior side, but they have to be I think it has to be a really good massage therapist that you trust, because you have all of your reproductive organs and other organs as well in that area, and you can irritate them if that person doesn't know what they're doing. So for example, I know dancers that lay on tennis balls to release this muscle, and I don't think that's a good idea unless you're intimately aware of where your psoas is. I've never laid on a tennis ball like that to release my psoas. I'll stretch my psoas, but I won't actually try to massage it myself. I will go get it taken care of. And I will also show you stretches for psoas later. Okay, next we have the quadriceps. So this is kind of a confusing picture at first. So you have 4 muscles in the quadriceps. That's why it's called quad, right? Meaning 4. There's vastus lateralis, which is on the lateral or outside part of your upper leg. Then you have vastus intermedius. Then you have vastus medialis. But then on top, and on this side, they've put rectus femoris on top of it, right? So rectus femoris is on top of vastus intermedius. And so vastus lateralis, medialis, and intermedius, those 3 deeper muscles, they attach to the femur bone, and they assist with knee flexion and extension. Rectus femoris is the only member of the quadricep group which crosses the hip joint, attaching at the pelvis. So it not only does knee flexion and extension like the other 3, but it also flexes the hip. So let's just take a moment, and where you're sitting, you can just put your hand on the inside of your knee right here, and just extend the knee and then bend the knee, and feel that's vastus medialis activating. Sometimes the vastus medialis doesn't fire. So physical therapists, if you have a knee problem, they might do exercises that activate vastus medialis in particular. Then go right on top, and you can feel that's rectus femoris, but also vastus intermedius firing there. And then also go on the outside part of your thigh and feel that muscle activate as you extend the knee and bend the knee. Yeah, so it's quite a complex group of 4 muscles that work to bend and extend the knee. And there are more, but for the purpose of this conversation, we're keeping it as simple as possible. Okay, so that's the quadriceps. So that's the anterior or front part of the body. Here's another picture that I found helpful, because the first one is kind of like a cartoon drawing kind of thing, but this one gives you a sense of how they all come together. And I know that we have different ways that we see muscles, so I thought I would just include everything here. So again, you've got psoas major, you've got psoas minor, the smaller fibers here, more medial to the spine. You've got iliacus. This is your tensor fascia lata, which we'll get into in a moment, or TFL. You've got vastus lateralis, rectus femoris, and vastus medialis, and of course, vastus intermedius below or deep to rectus femoris. And then this is your sartorius muscle that lays across all the quadriceps. So it attaches at this bony part of the hip, your ASIS, and it also connects here into that patellar tendon or ligament. So yeah, all these muscles are inserting into this kneecap area. So the sartorius muscle I've talked about in terms of those of you who've asked me about not gripping the quads. The sartorius muscle is what you're trying to isolate in order to not grip the quads. So again, it's superficial or above the quadriceps, and it attaches to that ASIS, and then it goes to that superior medial tibia via the patellar tendon. And this assists with hip flexion, right? Hip flexion, abduction, turnout, and knee flexion as well. So in my anatomy class, we learned this as the passe muscle. So it's all the actions that go into making a passe, right? Hip flexion, abduction, turnout, and knee flexion. So that's an easy way to isolate the sartorius muscle. Next, the TFL, or tensor fascia lata. Tensor fascia latte, as some of us call it for funsies. This is an abductor. So you can actually just stand for a second and feel as you abduct the hip in parallel. There's a muscle group that activates all right here. And that's your TFL, which inserts into the IT band or iliotibial band, which is that thick band of fascia that gets really, really tight in dancers as well. So tensor fascia lata also does hip flexion and hip internal rotation or turn-in. We're going to be activating this a lot today. So another just different type of visual, so you can see how it's all connected. So again, you've got iliacus, you've got the TFL, Gluteus Maximus back here, and then this all inserts into that IT band on the side of that knee, right? And then you've got sartorius on both sides. And then you have all the quadriceps here. All right, moving on. Gluteus Maximus, we all know this one. But I want to just pay attention to where it attaches proximally. So it attaches on a bit of that iliac crest posteriorly, and then the whole sacrum and coccyx. So that's like a huge point of tension. If you're ever having back pain, you can try to isolate that yourself, and that will kind of release the whole muscle. And then of course it inserts into the IT band. And again, this muscle is responsible for hip extension, thinking arabesque or tendu to the back, and limited external hip rotation. So, you know, for the teachers who say like, squeeze your butt, right? That's a really superficial way of thinking about turnout, like literally and figuratively, right? Because gluteus maximus is the most superficial muscle, but it's also the largest of the gluteal muscles, meaning it's also the most powerful. So it's actually like super easy to grip gluteus maximus, and then you're gripping the quads as a result, and you're probably ending up with a ton of tension in the upper body and arms. As a result of gripping something, you know, in the lower half of the body. So I'm going to show you, I think, oh yeah, so I'm going to show you in a second, like we're going to get into the deep six that I want you to really think about as turning out. So next we have gluteus medius and gluteus minimus. And again, I kind of have trouble with these drawings, but this picture on the left, this is Gluteus Maximus, and then underneath it is Gluteus Medius, right? And then underneath that is Gluteus Minimus. And these do hip abduction, hip internal rotation. And I think a lot, like for Gluteus Medius and Minimus, people think of it as a turnout muscle. But if you look at where it's located on the pelvis, if that muscle contracts, it turns in the leg. It doesn't turn it out. Here's I think, a more informative picture. So again, you've got Gluteus Maximus. Gluteus Maximus is on top of this, right? And then Gluteus Medius is underneath. And then if you peel back those two layers, you've got Gluteus Minimus. And then these are what I'm talking about. These are your deep 6 external rotators, starting with the Piriformis, which is just inferior to Gluteus Medius. And I think it's also crazy because, like, I don't think we ever really consider how many attachments there are on this coccyx bone here, right? So this is a really, really big part of dancing is using these external and internal rotator muscles, but they're all pulling on that lower spine, right? So if these muscles are tight, you can see how it then kind of just goes up through the spine and it becomes problematic for other parts of the body. Okay, so getting into the deep 6 external hip rotators, I've combined 2 separate pictures here. Sorry if it's confusing. So what we're looking at is a back view of a pelvis, or a posterior view. So these muscles that we're looking at are responsible for hip extension and external rotation. So these are the ones. As small as they are the mightiest of the external rotator muscles. So again, you have Piriformis here, the most superior. You've got superior gemellus, you've got inferior gemellus. In between that, you've got obturator internus and quadratus femoris here. And then, so you've got obturator internus on here, and then there's obturator externus here, which is going from the posterior pelvis and connecting to that anterior hip. I hope you guys can see that. Let me go back really quick and just so you can see, because there's a hole here, right, where everything is attaching. All right, quadratus femoris here. And then this peels back all the gluteal muscles so that you can really see how they're individual muscles. So we're gonna, again, really work those today. Next, we have hamstrings. So there are 3 hamstrings. You've got semitendinosus, which is the most superficial one. You've got semimembranosus, which is underneath semitendinosus. And then third is biceps femoris, which is here. But I wanted to give you a separate pictures without the other 2 hamstrings so that you could see how it's called biceps, bi meaning 2, right? So there's 2 heads. There's a long head and there's a short head of biceps femoris. And noting how it's on that posterior lateral aspect of that femur bone or thigh bone, that's going to also assist in supporting external rotation of the hip. But generally, we're talking about hip extension, turnout, and knee flexion. But specifically, biceps femoris is like a major assister in turnout. And also just taking note that you've got the ischial tuberosity right here, and noting that the deep 6 are also connecting the femur bone to that pelvis, right? So if you're connecting it, it's automatically going to turn it out if those muscles contract. Here's another picture, like a more 3-dimensional rendering of it. seeing how everything is like layered on top. It's like so complex. Okay, so next we're moving into hip adductors. I'm not gonna like really individualize all these, but Adductor Magnus, brevis, longus, pectineus, gracilis. They're responsible for hip adduction, bringing that hip back to that original position, and also hip flexion. So we're also going to really activate these today. Did I give a second picture? Yes. Okay, so what's crazy is like all the layers, right? Because these are all underneath your quadriceps muscles, but they're also like in between the it's like the hamstrings in the back, you've got the adductors, and then you have the front part, which is the quadriceps, right? And then you have all the muscles on the side, like TFL, gluteus, minimus, and medius, for example. So yeah, this is how it's like all connected here. So just take a second and look at that. Do you guys have any questions so far? Okay. Finally, I want to talk about the pelvic floor. This is something that I find that I don't really discuss that much in ballet class, but it is actually extremely important. So what we have here is a bird's eye view of the pelvis. So we just have the piriformis, right, which is one of those deep six external rotators. You've got obturator internus, that's also an external rotator. And then you have all of these muscles here, they are just there to support all the structures above. So they're supporting your colon, bladder, uterus, or reproductive organs, digestive organs, and even the lungs and heart from below. And in all the research that I did for this presentation, the idea of a hammock, like going front to back, is like something that's really prevalent in all the information about the pelvic floor is related to dance. Generally, I never even thought about my pelvic floor until I was pregnant. But then it's like a really big deal once you're pregnant. So problems related to a weak or overactive pelvic floor are urinary and bowel problems, decreased sensation, pelvic pain, difficulty in childbirth, breathing problems, and lower back pain. There's a lot of studies out there about how dancers have altered breathing patterns and how that impacts the pelvic floor. Also a sign of a healthy pelvic floor versus an unhealthy pelvic floor. Again, in all the information that I found, a pelvic floor needs to be able to contract as well as release. Okay, so if you're walking around like clenched pelvic floor all the time, it could eventually lead to incontinence. For example, I know. I have this friend who was a dancer with Boston Ballet forever, and then she ended up on Broadway, and then she had a baby a couple years ago, and she was telling me about her experience, like trying to have her baby, and she wanted to have a natural childbirth, and the doctors said that her pelvic floor muscles were so strong that she was pushing the baby, he was coming out, and then he was going back in. It's like terrible to think about because you just want to like get it over with, right? But she ended up having a C-section because her pelvic floor muscles could actually not release, right? So I looked up all this information, like I don't know if you've heard of like Kegel exercises, that's Kegel exercises. A lot of people talk about them for like different reasons, but as a dancer, you can choose to do that. But we're gonna like do some squats today, and that's a really good way to access those muscles. But I don't really think that we need to do that, because in our ballet training, everything is like so tight all the time. If you're like really trying to use those deep six muscles, which you just saw in that rendering, how those deep six muscles are part of the pelvic floor, right? They're like, are all complementary to that whole area in terms of supporting all the structures above it, right? So there's some articles on online on there were two on the Pelvic Floor and Dance Teacher magazine online, if you want to Google it for yourself if you're curious. But you know, one of the articles talks about like, you know, we tend to think of the body or the like torso as this like, you know, you're thinking about strengthening your abs, you're thinking about strengthening your back, you're thinking about like what's happening up top, but we rarely, if ever, discuss the pelvic floor. So I thought it was important to just bring it up for the purpose of the exercises that we're going to be doing, just so that you're aware of it. I'm not asking you to change anything in the way you approach your ballet technique, but just being super aware of it. I did have a teacher, and she had teachers who said it's like when you're doing ballet, it's like you're squeezing something with your pelvic floor muscles. Especially like when you do a pirouette, for example. And that's something that you can like think about for yourself. I'm not gonna talk about it in class so much, but it is a thing in ballet training. I was not trained with that information, but it is possible to research it in your own time as you want. Yeah. Let me see here, I think. Okay. So that is the end of the presentation. Do you guys have any questions? What do you think about all this? Is there anything that you haven't thought about before? Is there anything that's unclear? We're gonna get personal here. So it's, you know, that feeling of when you sit down to pee, right? And then when you finish, you do this again, right? It's that feeling. So you can actually, like, as you're sitting, and this is what Kegel exercises are. It's like activating those muscles. There's a way to do it, like a slow squeeze and then a release. And there's a bunch of quick ways to do it. But it's like, once I thought of it as like, it's like you're trying to go to the bathroom, then I found it like pretty easy to isolate, because I think it's a thing that we can all kind of relate to, as strange as it is. Does that help? There's like a whole thing of them, right? Which we're not going into like what they are individually for the purpose of the class. But it's all connected to urination and bowel movements, right? So if you can connect it to that, that's a pretty clear segue into like how you can then think about, or just become aware of how you're using them, if you're using them when you do ballet or when you take a contemporary class, right? As you're walking down the street, are you clenching, or are you like totally relaxed? And what all the like OBGYNs say, especially once you become, if you become pregnant, they're like, you better work on relaxing those pelvic floor muscles. And you're like, I don't know how to do that. Like, I've squeezed them my whole life. Like, what do you want from me? You know? But it's interesting. Like, you can like take a walk and just, I know so many people are laughing. You can like take a walk and just notice, are you like a clencher, or are you a person who can just think about that whole like bottom part of your pelvis just relaxing, right? And if we study like Feldenkrais technique or Alexander technique, the theory is that any extra tension is causing tension elsewhere in the body, or bad alignment. It's causing tension and bad alignment in other places in the body. And I'm a big believer in that. But again, if you're interested in like, there's this whole thing about like the diaphragm of like how you breathe and how it's connected with the pelvic floor, and how dancers, we're taught to breathe up here and from the sides because we want to look as thin as possible, right? And so we tend to breathe up here rather than into our bellies, like out and in. And that actually has a relationship with a weakened pelvic floor system, which I found super interesting. Anything else? Yeah. I'm going to give you a 2-minute break. I want you to get ready to work out, right? If you have the following, it's extremely helpful. I have this amazing little blue ball that's like really, really popular in Pilates classes, and it's really squishy. I'm going to be using this today, but you can substitute with a pillow or a stuffed animal, even like a yoga mat, rolled up yoga mat, something that you can squeeze between your knees. What else? Oh, eventually, like, I'm not using any ankle weights today because I'm afraid that I'm going to die. But I do have ankle weights that you can choose to use or not as you do this via Zoom on your end of things. Also, I have these, I'm eventually going to use this, but it's a little elastic band that you can choose to like put around your ankles or your knees as we're doing the leg series for Pilates. And it just adds more resistance and it makes you more sore. You can also take your traditional TheraBand or exercise band and tie a knot in it. I'm like super type A though, and I don't tie knots in my TheraBand, so I buy these. Yeah. So that's like an extra light one, but they come in like, they come in packs of 3 or 4 usually on Amazon. I got these on Amazon. They're like $10 for a pack of 3 or 4, and you can kind of choose your own adventure with that. But yeah, like you're welcome to go for ankle weights. You're welcome to add resistance bands to this. And also we are going to do squats today, or that's kind of like at the end of the class, but if you want to add weights, like I have a pair of those 10-pound dumbbells that I could squat with if I chose to. Yeah, so that's what you'll need for class today. And if you don't have any of these, it's okay, because you're going to get a workout regardless. Anything else before we take a break? All right. Okay, so take a little break, 2 minutes to get set up and use the restroom and things, and then we'll come back. You guys are so ready. I see you in the tap studio. I'm also realizing that I'm on like a floor that has carpet padding underneath. So I'm on like a nice squishy surface, but if you need like a yoga mat or even a sweatshirt or something to keep like the bony parts of your legs from grinding into the floor, you might want to think about that too. You can choose to let this bottom arm be long, or you can prop it on the bottom of your neck here. And then we're thinking about this arm coming across to support the abs. So flexing the feet, lift both legs off the floor, bring them slightly in front of you, just a tiny bit, and then set them down. So they're calling this like an open L position. Okay, so just take a moment while you're here. I'll wait to kind of let everyone catch up. I know camera angles, padding, materials, all sorts of things. Yeah, so just take a second and engage your abdominal muscles. Then you can also think about even squeezing the legs together, even though we're in this seemingly restful state, but there's work happening already. Okay, so keeping the legs parallel is what we're doing right now. So for people like me, I end up kind of turned out like this if I'm not paying attention. So the whole time I'm keeping this parallel, and this is classic Pilates leg series, but kind of like Pilates leg series on crack. Because what I'm trying to do is make you sore, okay, so that you can then isolate all these muscles. So take this top leg, make sure, look down at your feet, make sure it's still in a true parallel position, engage your abdominal muscles, and let's pulse. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Next, small circles about the size of a dinner plate on your direction. 2, 3, keeping it parallel. 5, 6, 7, 8, and 8, 7, 6. You should feel this in your psoas. 4, 3, 2, reverse the circle. 16 and 15, 14, 13, 12. I'm getting this on my whole abductors. 8, 7, 6. Engage the stomach muscles. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Keeping this leg parallel again. Open it as wide as you can before it goes turned out. Lower it a little bit to keep it truly parallel. And then let's pulse there. Down and up and down. Up. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's just do 8 and 8. All right, so now I'm bending my hips. I'm flexing my hips to a 90-degree angle. I'm flexing my feet. And it's easy to think, it's easy to have like the top leg a little bit pulled back. So what you want to do is engage your stomach muscles and push that top leg out so that it's even with the bottom leg. Repeating the same structure, just lift it a tiny bit, keeping it in true parallel, even a tiny bit internal rotation. And go 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, little circles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ouch. 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Reverse. And 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lift it high, keep it parallel, up and down. 2, we're doing 8 here. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Oh my God, rest. Whew. So now we're gonna bend that knee, put that foot, that top foot on the floor in front of you. Flex that bottom foot, keep it parallel and lift it off the floor, engaging that external and internal oblique abdominal muscle, as well as the psoas. Yeah. So we're doing next, we're going to start with pulses. Yeah. 16, 15, 14, 13. Rest while I talk about the next thing. So I find that you can do circles here, but what I prefer is an oval. Right, so I'm just gonna change my angle so you can see the oval. The oval I'm talking about is like this, and it goes all the way to the back. So it's like crunchy, right, as I'm crossing the midline in the back, right, and I'm going to the front and to the back. So I'm making an oval like this way, instead of just a circle. And I find that it activates the adductors even further. Okay, so let's do 16 ovals in each direction. Ready? 7 and 8, 16, 15, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8, 7, 6, 5, keeping it parallel, 3, and 2, and 1. Reverse the circle, 1, 2, all those adductors activating, and halfway done, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Relax. Let's take a second and just sit up. Find your butterfly stretch. Go over as far as you want. Open your right leg to second and go towards that foot. You can take your arm in the conversation or not, your choice. And, ooh, ouch, switch. I used to do this every day, like obsessively. And if you want, you can just open to your middle split and stretch those inner thighs. Okay, you know what's next? We got to do the other side. So, find yourself in a straight line. Decide if you're going to prop your head up or not. Hover both legs above your mat, bring them slightly forward and set them down into that open L shape. Again, flexing the feet truly parallel and letting that top leg be just as long as the bottom leg by thinking about a little mouse house right underneath your waist here by activating all those muscles. Hand in front to stabilize. Lift, and we go. And 1. Little circles under your, and 1, 2. Keep it parallel. Reverse the circle, 16. Okay, take it up as high as you can without losing that true parallel position. And go down, up, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, I forgot 8. We stopped at 8. Bend the hips to 90-degree flexion. Make sure both legs are equal and repeat. Here we go. Hover and go. 16. Good. Breathe. Little circles. Here we go. And 1, 2, 3. 8, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Reverse the circle. 16, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Ouch. All right, so put this foot down on the floor in front of that other leg. Flex the bottom foot, hover it above your floor. Check that it's truly parallel. 16 pulses. We go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Engage the stomach. 8, 7. Are you breathing? 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Little ovals. 1, 2. Get in that crunchy part. 3, especially in the back. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, reverse, and 16, 15, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, good, 8, 9, almost done, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and come up and stretch. And stretch your left leg out first and over, taking an arm or not. And up, switch sides. And up, open both legs to second. Okay, so there's kind of like a part 2 of the leg series that I also want to do. I'd like to eventually work up to doing this without having to stretch in between, but just since it's new, I want to give you the opportunity to stretch. Yeah. So next, a dancer favorite, a classic, is Clam Shells. Wouldn't be Pilates leg series without Clam Shells. So I'm bending my hips to just below 90 degrees. And you can choose again to lay down or prop your head, your decision. And this is where we're really differentiating between the deep 6 and in turned out position and parallel. And you can add, this is where like a TheraBand around your knees would be like super advanced. Oh my God, is Brooke Rogers doing it? She's like, oh my God, she's doing it. I'm not emotionally prepared for that yet, but go you. Yeah. So let's do 20 and just see how it feels. Yeah. So go 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, stomach, 11, 10, 9, good, 8, 7, 6, Brooke is so hardcore, 4, 3, 2, and 1. I don't feel like that was so bad. Let's stretch the legs out. Okay, so next I'd like to do double leg lift. Yeah, so you can point the feet or flex them. I would, I kind of feel it I feel it both ways, but what we're doing is activating this whole side body, right? So external and internal oblique, as well as psoas, because psoas is also an abductor and an adductor, right? So we're thinking about isolating all those muscles. You can even put your hand here. That helps you isolate those muscles. Let's do 16. Advanced is like not, well, there's ways to do it where you go both sides up, but I'm always like trying not to fall over. So you can choose to just do the lower body, or you can choose both sides up going this way. Ugh, but I'm too scared I'm gonna fall. So you can also choose to support yourself or go here, whatever you need. So again, choose whether you're gonna flex or point, and let's go. Up, 2, 3, I can't count. 4, 5, 6, and you're getting the inner thigh of the bottom leg. 8, 9, let's do 20, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Good. So let's just point the feet and experiment with turning out the feet and turning them back to parallel. We'll go out and in. Inner thighs connected, out and in. 3 and 4. Good. 5, 6, 7, and 8. And let it go. Actually, let's hold it. Bring it up to passe. 1 and 2. Develop a side knee and foot flex down. 7, 8. Passe. 1, 2. Knee. 3. Lower leg. 4. Come down. 7 and 8. Passe. 1, 2. Knee. Lower leg. Flex down. 7, 8. Last one. Passe. 2, knee, lower leg, 7 and 8. Let's reverse it, yeah? Go flex in 1 count, passe and down, and flex, passe and down, and flex, passe and down. Last one, passe and down. Nice, just spend some time on your back. You can choose like a little open butterfly position, just kind of stretching all this out. Rocking side to side even. In this article I read, you can spend time in happy baby for pelvic floor muscles. And this is a really, really clear way to like choose to contract and release them, or just considering releasing them if you're a clencher. Rock side to side. All right, let's go other side. Starting with clam shells. Okay, we're doing 20. Ready? And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Extend those legs out. You can choose to point or flex, double leg lift. Let's do 20, 7 and 8. We go up and down, up, down. 3, keeping the feet together, squeezing the thighs. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Come down. I'm gonna move my feet back in the camera. And just experimenting with pointed feet,
turning out and in and out, isolating those deep 6 external rotators, out and in, 4 and 5, 6, 7, 8, 2 more, 9 and 10. Nice. So keeping it there, let's take our passe 1, 2, knee, lower leg, flex 7 and 8. Passe 1, 2, knee, lower leg, really nice, down and 8. 2 more, passe 2, knee, lower leg, flex down, 8 and 1, 2, knee, lower leg and down. Reverse in 1 count. We go 1, passe and down, and 1. As I come through passe, I'm squeezing my inner thighs together, down, and 1, passe and down, and last 1, passe and down. Nice work. You can lie on your back. Just take a second, relaxing into the floor, rocking side to side. And then choosing to add happy baby or not. Rocking side to side. Okay, so next, a good external rotator stretch is to any leg you want, propping your ankle here, threading your hand in between each side and pulling it to your chest. Rock side to side. You can also like choose to rotate your ankles if you like. And switch. All right, and roll up. Let's see what else I have here. Okay, so next, we're working on our back. And I'm gonna take my ball or my squishy item, whatever that looks like for you. I'm going between my knees. I'll give you all a second. Yeah, I see pillows, I see. I see all sorts of things happening. Okay, so let's just take a second and just flex your feet off the floor and just squeezing that ball, isolating those adductors or inner thighs, right? So adductor brevis, longus, magnus, pectineus, gracilis, all those guys. And also visualizing them while you're squeezing the ball. So let's start with little pulses. You can relax your feet on the floor or you can keep them flexed. Sometimes I find that if I flex my feet, I can isolate the adductors more clearly. So do whatever works for you, okay? I'm gonna relax my feet for today. So let's just do, how about like 32 pulses just to be mean. 7 and 8 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Really squeeze it hard. Halfway done. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Last 8. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Take that ball out and just relax. We need to do that again. All right, let's go again. 32 more counts. This time, let's clasp the hands behind the head. Let's find a crunch. But also, as you find the crunch, I want you to think of your sit bones coming together and up. And I also want you to think about your pelvic floor contracting for the whole time, as much as you can, okay? So hands clasped behind the head, take a big inhale. Exhale, crunch, pelvic floor muscles, rectus femoris, or rectus abdominis, excuse me. And 32, go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2, 2, 3, stomach muscles, 5, 6, 7, 8, halfway done, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, pelvic floor, 6, 7, and 8. Take the ball out, relax down. So this is kind of a weird camera angle, but we're gonna start, we're gonna take just the ball, set it aside for now. We're gonna start in parallel. You're gonna open the legs in parallel and come up. Yeah. 7 and 8, we go. Keep it parallel and up and down and up and 3, 4, 5, 6, pelvic floor, 8, 2 more, 9, and 10. Knees into chest, relax. We're gonna repeat the whole thing with turned out legs. 10 of them, yeah? So find a little baby first. 7 and 8, we go down and up and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Knees into chest. Let's do the same external rotator stretch again. So threading the needle on either side of that leg and just being in that external rotator stretch. What time is it? 3:38. We have 12 minutes left. And switch. Okay, I'm like not even halfway through my exercises, you guys. Okay, let's skip ahead. Come onto all fours. Classic dog fire hydrant situation, yeah? So, okay. So making sure that your knees are over your hips and your hands are over your shoulders. Everything is bent at a 90-degree angle. Yeah, and we're gonna transfer the weight into that palm of the left hand and into the knee of the left side, yeah? And find, actually just walk the hands over a little bit, yeah? And out and in, and out, in. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We need to do 20, 10, 11, good. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, ouch. 18, good. 19 and 20. Ooh, relax back. And let's go second side. So find that position, walk both hands over, weights in that right knee, and let's go 20. We go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
10, 11, good, 12, 13, 14, stomach muscles, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, let it go, ouch. Okay, so a quick hamstring isolation from the same position. I find this really difficult. If you are a person that has no internal hip rotation, this is very difficult. So we're in our same on all fours. I'm taking my right leg up to the sky, and I'm thinking about my foot being on the ceiling. Yeah, I'm not turned out. You cannot have even like 1 degree of turnout. That's really hard for a lot of us in this class. I'm also thinking about my cervical spine being really long, right? So it's like someone's pulling my hair from the crown of my head forward, and I'm relaxing my eyes down and looking at the floor, and I'm just gonna pulse, yeah? So I'm like getting all of those 3 hamstrings, right? Semitendinosus, semimembranosus, and biceps femoris, yeah? Okay, also I have wrist problems, so I'm gonna go on my fists, but that's totally up to you. So find your position, try not to crunch in that lumbar spine, and let's go 20. We go 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's point the foot, take it out to the second. Oh God, put it down. Transfer the hands over a little bit more, and let's lift that leg in second. We go 10, parallel, 9, 8, 7, 6, pelvic floor muscles. If you don't feel them, I don't know how to help you. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Ooh, relax. That's getting hard. Oh God, I'm so out of shape, you guys. It's ridiculous.
Is the right side supposed to hurt? Like when we, okay.
Absolutely. That standing side is working really, really hard. Yeah, absolutely. Let's switch sides, okay? So starting again with the hamstring pulse. Let me check my time here. We have 7 minutes. So let's do 20 of those pulses. Find your position, super parallel, bending the knee at 90 degrees, right? So we're trying, if the knee is not bent at 90 degrees, we're not in full flexion or contraction of those hamstring muscles. So that's what we're going for. Ready? 7 and 8. We go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 4 more, and 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bring it over, turn it to parallel, and let's go to, also shift the hands over to that standing side. 7 and 8. We go 10, 9, 8, good, 7, keep it parallel as much as you can. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Nice, relax back. Okay, so we've got 6 minutes. I'm skipping around to the more, I'm trying to kill you a little bit more. Let's stand with our back against the wall. So you can either take, well, I have this huge exercise ball that I like to do it with. But you can also use a small ball or even a pillow, right? And we're gonna just stand with our backs against the wall, okay? So we were talking before you go for that, we were talking about the quadriceps, right? And how often in dance, we might find that our vastus medialis might not engage, okay? So I'm gonna have you Knees will be bent at 90 degrees, okay? I want you to find hip width apart in going against the wall. And then I want you to flex your toes as if you're in demi-point. Because when you take your toes off the floor and you put your weight into your heels, it gets the pressure off of that patellar tendon. Okay, so if this is hurting that patellar tendon in any way, you want to shift the weight to your heels to really get back into that quadriceps muscle. Okay, so find your spot. I'm going to adjust myself here. Kind of step away, and then let's go down 7 and 8 and hold. I'm thinking of gluteal muscles are contracting. My toes are off the floor. My weight is in my heels. And you can even put your hands on your quads, right? Feeling rectus femoris, feeling vastus lateralis, feeling vastus medialis specifically, but really thinking about those sit bones, thinking about that pelvic floor again. And also we can even incorporate what we've been talking about in back day, right? Of keeping that spine of the scapula and that clavicle bone vertical and not letting it roll forward, right? So working on posture here. Go into a deeper squat. Really, really think about getting the knees to 90 degrees. Breathe. And come up and rest. We're gonna do it again. And then we're gonna add pulses. The pulses are where it gets more intense. So find your position, put the weight in the heels, bend the knees. Gluteal muscles engaged. Thinking about your posture. And again, there's something about feeling the muscles engaged that kind of keep me motivated, so you can feel your quads working here. And let's pulse. We go 1, 2, gluteals, 3, 4, 5. Really bend. 6. How low can your butt go to the floor? 10. Good. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Let it go. Stretch your quads. Doesn't matter which side. And shake it out. Switch sides. Okay. Let's see how much time we have. We have 2 minutes. Okay, so next we're gonna do squats. Okay, squats again are really good for glutes. They're good to think about pelvic floor coming together and up. They're really great for quads. Okay, so your stance for that is a wide parallel second. You can put your hands in front. You can hold weights here. I normally am holding my baby when I do these around my house. I look like a crazy person. And you go down and you go up. So as I'm at the bottom of my squat, the pelvic floor contracts and the gluteal muscles, as well as the quads, are contracting to bring you up. Yeah. So let's go for 16. Ready? 7 and 8. And 1, 2. Be careful about the way you stretch your knees, not locking back into hyperextension. 5. Good. 6, really squat low. 7. This is also really good for hip flexion, right? As adults, we lose all of this hip flexion because we sit in chairs for so much of our lives. I lost count. Let's go 4, 3, 2, and 1. Stretch your quads again. Shake it out. It's 3:50, but I want to do 30 seconds of killers. So find your second. We've done this in our class before. Wide second, knees in line with toes. I'm thinking knees back to the wall behind me as I bend. Yeah. Let's just put your hands here for now, and we're just going to do little pulses. We go 1, 2, 3. Good. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're going for 32. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Halfway done. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pelvic floor. And 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Oh my God, ouch. Okay, so that concludes our class for today. Thank you guys for coming. And just like with our back day series, we won't have the lecture at the top of class next Tuesday. We'll just go straight into exercises, right? So we'll be like probably an hour of just isolating everything that supports and moves the hip. Yeah? I'm here if you have any questions. Thank you all. Have a great day.